Hello, welcome to AWS Solution Architect Associate. So today we'll be going through this Capstone project. So this is a Capstone project, which is the last project in these modules. So here, let's understand what exactly we have to do for this. So we have this environment overview. And here we have a budget of $60. And we need to preserve our budget. So we should always remember that we should monitor our lab budget in the lab interface above. And whenever we have an active lab session, the latest non-remaining budget information will display at the top of the screen. This data comes from the AWS budget, which typically updates every 8 to 12 hours. Okay. And then here they have provided a few suggestions. We should launch only the number of EC2 instances we need. And they did no longer needed resources of data and so on. So we can always go through this. And we can use AWS Simply Monthly Calculator or a pricing calculator to estimate cost. Example, the estimate shown in the screenshot below calculate the cost of running the following resources for a month. Okay. And for this environment, so we have this lab. So I have already started this lab. If you can go here. So my lab is already activated. So my lab is activated. Okay. So I've connected to my AWS. And let's understand about the project overview. So this project provides us with an opportunity to demonstrate the solution design skills that we developed throughout this course. And by the end of this project, we should be able to apply the architectural design principle that we learned in this course to deploy a PHP application that runs on an Amazon EC2. We should be able to create a database instance that the PHP application can query. We should be able to create a MySQL database from a structured query language dump file. And we should also be able to update our application parameters in the AWS System Manager Parameter Store. And we should be able to secure the application to prevent public access to backend system. Okay. So currently our architecture looks something like this. So we should have a VPC and we should have a couple of availability zones. And we should have a public subnet 1, public subnet 2, private subnet 1, private subnet 2, and our Bastion host will be inside this public subnet 1, and we'll have this ALB security group, Bastion host security group, application security group, database security group, and target group, which will be of EC2 instance with the application in the data and IAM role. Okay. So what are the requirements? So we need to provide secure hosting of our MySQL database, provide secure access of our administrative user, provide anonymous access to web users, run the website on a T2 micro EC2 instance and provide secure shell access to the administrator, provide high availability to the website through a load balancer, store database connection information in the AWS System Manager Parameter Store, provide automatic scaling that uses a launch template. And also we need to provide the following parameters which are used by the PHP applications: /example endpoint, /example /username, /example /password, /example /database. So these are the parameter values which are case sensitive. And here is the deliverables of our project. We should be able to complete the assignment. And to complete this assignment, we should deploy a PHP application that meets the system requirements outlined above, submit a diagram that illustrates our solution, and submit a written summary of on the design decision that we made to achieve the result. And we have a time limit of 3 hours and a budget of $60. Okay, so now let's go to our AWS and let me go and open my EC2 and also my VPC. So first of all, let's understand about the available resources which have been created for us. So we have this VPC and here we have this example VPC. So let's go to this example VPC. Okay, so we can see that this example VPC has 4 subnets in a couple of availability zones: US East 1A and US East 1B. And we have a public subnet in each of the availability zones. And each subnet has a public route table and a private route table. And also we have one internet gateway which is added to our public route table. Okay. So to get started with our requirements, I think it's time to go and create a few of our resources. For that, let's go and check our Bastion host. So we have our Bastion instance here running. So using this Bastion, we will be connecting to the instance which we will be creating later on and connecting to the database. Okay, so to get started with, let's create a load balancer. Let's create a load balancer, and we'll be choosing application load balancer. So let's go to this create, and now we can give a name of load balancer. So I can say learn with Pratap, and let me say LB. So it will be of internet facing, IPv4, and here we need to choose our VPC, example VPC, and let's choose one. So it should be public subnet. Here also we should choose the public subnet, and let's remove this and let's use our ALBSG. Okay, we need to create this listener for this particular target group. So let me go and create a target group. So the target type should be instances, and let's create a target group name. So I can say learn with Pratap target group, and it will be of IPv4, example VPC, and it will be of HTTP1, and I think everything will be of default. And let's go to next, and I need to register the target. So let me choose this bastion, and let me include as a pending below, and let me create a target group. Okay, so my target group is now created. So let me go back to my application load balancer, and let me refresh, and let me choose this learn with Pratap target group. And once I select the target group, so let me go and create the load balancer, and let's go to view load balancer. Okay, so now this load balancer is in the provisioning state, so we should wait until this is in the available state. So till the time this is in the provisioning state, so let's go and create a auto scaling group. So we can go to our auto scaling group, let's create auto scaling group, and let's give it a name. So I can say learn with Pratap ASG, and I can use the example.s template which was created by default. Okay, so all these things looks good, and let's go to the next. I need to choose the example VPC, and here I need to choose the public subnet 1 and the public subnet 2, and I think I can go to the next. So let's attach the load balancer which we just created. So we have this learn with Pratap target group. So I think this is all fine. Okay, so let's go to next, and this is very important. So we should have desired of 1, minimum capacity of 1, and maximum capacity of 2. Okay, so I think all these things looks good. Let's go to next, and we don't need notification. Let's go to next. We don't have to add a tag. Let's go to next, and then let's create an auto scaling group. So now our auto scaling group is updating, and let's see if our load balancer is already available. Okay, so now our load balancer is active. So let me go to this detail, and I can copy the DNS name of this load balancer, and I can go to my browser and I can use this endpoint. Okay, so this endpoint is not available yet because I think our instance is still in running state. So let me go to my EC2. So when we created auto scaling group, it should go and create a new instance, example app, and since it is still initializing, we are not able to access the endpoint. So once the status check of this instance is completed, then we should be able to access this instance. So let's wait until this instance is up and running. So after waiting for a couple of minutes, so you can see our example site is running. So let's go to this query. So we still get this 504 gateway timeout. So let me refresh again. So now you can see this is a query page, right? So let me select a mobile phone and let me submit. So it says connection error, no such file or directory. So it means that my website is not able to connect with the RDS database or the database, right? So now it's time to create a database, which will be probably MySQL, and let's connect that database using our application. Okay, so let's go to RDS. So before we create the database, so let's go and create our DB subnet group. So let's create a DB subnet group. So let me name this as learn with Pratap DB subnet group or subnet group. Okay. and I can have the same description. And let me choose the VPC of example VPC. So make sure you choose the example VPC everywhere, because this is very important. We should have, all our resources should be inside a single VPC, example VPC. And here I need to choose multiple availability zones. So it should be 1A and 1B. And then I can choose private subnet. And here /23 is the private subnet for 1B. And then the /23 is the private subnet for our 1A. Okay, and let's go to create. So now we have our subnet group created. So let's go to our dashboard and let's go to create a database. So let's choose standard create, and here let's choose MySQL. Okay, and here let's choose a template of dev test. And here let's choose multiple availability zone DB instance. And let's have an identifier. So this is simply the name. So I can say learn with Pratap. So master username admin is fine. And let's create a password of Pratap. So I've written Pratap a couple of times. Pratap. Okay. And here let's choose this DB instance class as a brush table classes, because this was a requirement by our project. And here inside the storage, let's choose GP2, general purpose SSD GP2, and let's allocate a simply of 20 GB. So we don't have to connect. Okay, and we need to choose example VPC, and DB subnet group is selected by default, so it should not be publicly accessible. And let's remove the security group, and I think we need to choose here example DB security group. So password authentication is fine. We can disable monitoring. Let's open our additional configuration, and here we can provide the database name, initial database name. So I can say here learn with Pratap DB. So please remember this, because we need to provide these names and all in our parameter store later on. So the parameter group is fine, option group is fine. So we can disable this automatic backups. Encryption is fine. Let's go ahead and let's create a database. So let me close. So let's go to our parameter stores. So we can say systems manager. So now we need to add all those parameter stores here. So let's go to our parameter store and let's create a parameter. Okay, so here let's go to our Capstone project and let's copy this. And for this, I think we need the URL of the database. So let's go to learn with Pratap. So the endpoint is not yet created, so let's go ahead and create another parameters. So we can replace this later on. So /example/username. So the value will be admin. Let's create a parameter. Let's create another parameter, example password. So the name will be example password. The value will be Pratap. Let's create the parameter. Let's create another parameter, and it will be example database. The value would be learn with Pratap DB. Let's create the parameter. So let me refresh if the endpoint is already available. So we need to wait until this is available. So currently it's creating the database learn with Pratap. So I think it should be just simply learn with Pratap. So let me edit this. Let me save the change. So we'll come and create the last parameter, which is example endpoint. So this should be available once the database is created. Okay. So now I think it's time to connect the database from our example app. So for that, let's go to our Capstone project and let's go to the AWS detail. So I think I can use the SSH key. So let me copy this private key. Okay, so I have copied the private key, and then let me go to my bastion and let me say connect. Let me connect. So instead of connecting here, I can simply go and download the PEM file, and then I can go from a terminal by doing SSH ec2 dash dash and so on. So both of the cases are the same. So if I check here ls, so I don't have any file. So let me create PEM file. So I can say vi and let me enter. And here I can go in the insert mode. So this is by clicking I, and you should see insert mode here, and I can go and simply paste. So now I've pasted this private key. So now you can say escape colon wq, and let's name it lab user.pem, and let's enter. So with this, a new file should be created. So I can say ls, and you can see we have this lab user.pem file. So now let's change the mode. So I'm going to say chmod, and it should be 400, and it should be lab user.pem. Okay, so now we have this lab user.pem. So let's go to our EC2 instance. Let's go to instances, and let's go to this example app, and let me copy the private IP. Okay, and now using that PEM file, I should be able to connect to this particular instance. So let's try connecting to that instance. So I can say ssh -i lab user.pem, and I can say ec2-user at the rate this one. So if I press enter, so let's see if I'm able to connect it or not. Okay, I'm not able to connect because I need to update the security group. So let's go to the security groups, and let's go to this inventory app, and let's update our inbound rule, and let's add a new rule here. So we can say ssh, it should be custom, it's fine, and here I can use the bastion host. Okay, and let's save the security group. Let's go to our instance connect again, and let's try to connect to our example app. So yes, finally we are able to connect to our example app instance. So if I do ls here, I should have this country data dump.sql. So by the time I think our RDS database should be created. So yes, it's created successfully. So let's copy this endpoint, and let's go back to our parameter store, and let's have this endpoint here, and let's create the parameter. Okay, so now we have all our parameters, and inside our instance example app, so let's copy this dump into our particular database. So for that, we can say MySQL -u, it should be admin, and I can say -p, and I can say -- host, and let me paste the URL, and I can use this. And now this means insert. That means I want to copy this particular dump to my database. Okay, so if I press enter, it will ask me for the password, and the password is basically Pratap. Let me press enter again. It says no database selected. Okay, so I need to also pass the database. So the name of the database should be LWP, if I'm not wrong. Let's say Pratap. So it says unknown MySQL server host. Oh, sorry, my database should be earlier. Okay, so I think I should paste after this the database URL. So I can say learn with Pratap, and the password should be Pratap. So it says unknown database LWP. So I think I need to change this database from LWP to LWPDB. Okay, so with this, I'm able to dump all this database dump into my learn with Pratap DB. I think I need to update my database. I thought I put LWP. So let me edit this. So I can say LWPDB. So let me save change. Okay, so now let's go to our database. Pratap. So we're in my MySQL. So I can say show databases. So we have this learn with Pratap database. So I can say use learn with Pratap DB. Let me show tables. So we have country data final. So I can say select star from. Okay, so now we have all the information of our database now. Okay, So let's go back to our website and let's refresh this. So yes, we are able to get all the information from our database. So let's go to our website again and let's choose a different query. Cool. Congratulations. We're able to connect our database from the PHP application. Okay. So if we go and check our project deliverables, we're able to deploy the PHP application and that meets our system requirements outlined above. So we also have stored all this in our parameter store. We have our MySQL. Okay. So with this, we're able to provide the secure hosting for our MySQL database, provide secure access for our administrative user. We are able to run our website on T2 micro EC2 instance. So I think with this, let's submit our application. So let's say yes, and let's wait for our grade. So we're able to score 3 out of 3. And also the requirement was we should have a diagram that illustrates our solution. So here I have provided a diagram where you can see we have a VPC. Inside the VPC we have this public subnet 1, public subnet 2, private subnet 1 and private subnet 2. And then we have our RDS instance inside this private subnet, and the private substance is able to access our parameter store from this inventory app role. And we have our instance in this EC2, and this instance were created by our application load balancer. So far this is our diagram of our resources. So with this I think we have completed our, so let's say yes again. So I think this is it from this Capstone project. I hope you're able to score 3 out of 3. So now I can go and end the lab. And I hope this was helpful for you. And I hope you enjoy coding along with me. Thank you.